The mighty fluid dump is the most overpowered building in Timberborn, simply because it lets you irrigate huge areas with minimal labor. Using fluid dumps is exactly how we are irrigating this entire district over here. But you see, fluid dumps have an issue. The workers simply wait around 90% of the time. Not to mention that you still need haulers to bring the water over. So let us replace the fluid dumps entirely, and we're gonna start it off with this place over here. Once we're done building this, we're going to be comparing the two methods together. So stick around if you don't already know the answer. So I have just cleared this entire place over here, and we're gonna start off from scratch. The first thing that we're going to need is platforms to cover this entire area. Next up, you're gonna want to create a hole, and we're gonna talk about that hole in a little bit. There we go. Now that that is done, we can begin the next phase, which is gonna be digging downward actually. And that is exactly why we left this hole over here. So let's just place a triple dynamite down there and wait for that to get built. Oh, this is a separate district. Yeah, we are going to need some toys over here. So bring me some dynamites and bring me some extract, please. There we go, and now that dynamite down there is going to work. Perfect. So now we have a hole down there, and inside of this hole, I'm gonna need you to place vertical tubeways, just like that. Make sure that you also place one where the missing platform was. Once more, we're gonna wait for our beavers to get it done, and now the final step, which is going to be a bunch of impermeable floors to cover this entire area. Now you might be thinking, why did I just cover this vertical tubeway with an impermeable floor? Well, that's because the vertical tubeway on its own does not block water. However, by placing an impermeable floor on top of it, you keep the tubeway functional, but water can no longer flow upwards over here. Think of it like creating an airlock, okay? And now if we place the tubeway station up here and connect these together, and now with this tubeway station up here, we should technically be able to head down and say start a tunnel over here? Maybe? Let's see if we are able to do that. So we dig a tunnel, then we create a tubeway. We dig another tunnel, we create another tubeway. And basically we need to keep doing this, right? However, this is really annoying, and that is where a beautiful mod comes into the play, which is the More Tunnels mod, where instead of having to wait for the beaver to come over here, build this tunnel, then build the tubeway, then waiting for another beaver to come and finish the tubeway, yeah, you can simply just come to the tunneling section and select this, a tubeway under a platform. And now if I just draw a line like this and pay a huge amount of science in order to be able to do this, our beavers should be able to construct both of those things with a single order. And this isn't cheating, okay? It's just the same amount of resources. However, it's less effort from you as a player. But what's the point of doing this? Why am I doing this actually? You see, there's a huge reservoir over here, and I want to tap into that. Let's continue this. Let's just keep going forward. Now, if I did this correctly, then I should not be running into any problems over here. Yeah, this was the only point that I was really afraid of, and it seems like we'll be safe. So let's move forward over here. Yeah, this is the place I want to tap into. Now, at the end over here, I'm going to show you the way to do this without mods, which is going to be, just placing a regular old tunnel block at the end and then waiting for that to get finished. Come on. There we go. Then you have to destroy the platform, and in place of the platform, you need to place a vertical tubeway. Then you wait for that to get built. Then you need to go one level up and repeat the process. So tunnel and then the vertical tubeway. However, we are going to use the vertical tubeway tunnel right over here and over here, and that should basically bring us to the top, which is going to suck in a lot of water over here, and this water is going to travel all the way till the end right here, just like that. That was actually much faster than I thought, okay? But you see, it's not flowing out, and this land is now irrigated. Now we can just destroy all of these other fluid dumps over here, replace them with good old platforms. Oh, we don't have to replace them with platforms actually. Yeah, we're gonna do double dynamites, not triples. Yeah, we're gonna blow these up just like that. Perfect. Yeah, that's gonna let us place a triple platform, and now we should be able to place an impermeable floor on this entire thing. Over here as well, please. Now make sure that the impermeable floors get built before, you start your landscaping thing, because otherwise you are going to run into issues. And now if I just go underground over here, we can see where we need to connect these together. So basically, tubeway under platform, and I'm gonna need you guys to just connect all of these together, please. That would be really nice of you. There we go, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's also get rid of this fluid dump over here, and we are gonna do the same thing. Except with this one over here, we don't need to dynamite anything. We can just, go straight. So let us do that. We're just gonna dig straight over here. Except, that's going to cause lots of problems. So it's always a good idea to come upstairs and actually take a look at what, you got your beavers to start building. So instead of that solution, what you're gonna need to do over here is go down one level and then extend onward. Just like that. And just a single block of exposure over here would do. That would bring the water over. And do not forget about the impermeable floors on top, please. Yeah, otherwise you're going to run into issues. Now there are some pros and cons of this method, so let us just go over them really quickly. Pro number 1, your haulers don't need to, constantly waste their time bringing resources over. Pro number 2, you're not going to have workers work at the fluid dump. By the way, I did not mention this earlier, but I am using fluid dumps pretty much everywhere, but all of them are automated, okay? It's not like I don't know how automation works. I know way too much about automation, okay? However, I don't want to do that either. I just don't want my workers' time to be wasted bringing resources over to a fluid dump when I can do this stuff. It's so much more elegant. It's such a beautiful solution. Pro number 3, we don't even need to bring water over here to this district now. Yeah, because this is basically a bots only district, and the only reason it needed water was because of the fluid dumps. Pro number 4, if you are playing on a map that is not spillage, so that basically means your map has water sources, actual water sources instead of these things, then you can take the pressure up as far high as you want and use this method across the map even to feed your endgame farming towers. We can't do that over here because we don't have water sources that can be pressurized. But you can do that. And as someone who is obsessed with automation games, yeah, this solution is just that much more elegant because it has less variables. I need to connect both of these water seeps together, okay? And it's probably a good idea for me to also tell you the cons, which there's like only one, which is evaporation. So you can't do this if you're playing hard mode, you can't do this if you're starved for water, and especially if you're trying to min-max the number of beavers that you can have on your map. But then again, if you're trying to min-max the number of beavers that you have on your map, then what are you doing watching this video? Alright, so let's run this test right now. Over here, we have two reservoirs. The first one over here is 2.92, the second one is 2.89. So the left one is actually slightly higher right now. However, the right one is connected to, this thing. Now this is not as long as the one that I have on my map, but as you're about to see, the difference is quite insane between the two. Yeah. In the time it took for all of this to get evaporated, we didn't even lose a single level over here. So is it worth it? I would say no. Unless you're playing a cozy map like I am.